Hey guys, this is a demonstration of how I completed Practice Test 28, Section 2, Game 3, which orders and groups health inspections of 6 buildings over the course of 3 days, Monday through Wednesday, with 1 inspection each day in the morning and 1 each day in the afternoon. The game is further complicated because the buildings are split into 3 hotels, G, J, and L, and 3 restaurants, S, V, and Z. I set it up like this because visually it makes the most sense to me. So Rule 1 states that no hotels are inspected on Wednesday. We could indicate this by just marking that there are no hotels on Wednesday, but I think it's more effective to realize that what this really means is that 2 of S, V, and Z must fill those last 2 spaces. So this can be diagrammed any number of ways, but I do it like this. And obviously this means if 2 of S, V, and Z take up the Wednesday spots, G, J, and L plus 1 of S, V, and Z must fill the 4 preceding spots. So if you want to, you can notate this. Rule 2 states that G is inspected at some time before J. Because we already know that G and J are limited to the first 4 spots, this narrows down the possible placements of G and J even further. So G can't be in the afternoon slot on Tuesday because J has to come sometime after it, and the Wednesday slots are reserved for the restaurants. Similarly, J can't go in the morning slot on Monday because G must come sometime before it. This leaves only 3 spots for G: Monday morning, Monday afternoon, and Tuesday morning. And this ends up being an important inference, which we'll see later. So Rule 3 says that G cannot be inspected the same day as S. There's nothing that we can do with this right now except note it. Rule 4 is a conditional statement. If Z is inspected in a morning slot, L must also be inspected in a morning slot. And the contrapositive of this rule tells us that L is in the afternoon, and Z must also be in the afternoon. Remember that this doesn't preclude the possibility that L is in the morning and Z is in the afternoon. So there aren't many rules in this game, and they don't tell us much about where items are actually placed on the board. We had to figure out some inferences, though, based on the small number of rules and how they work together. Because G is restricted to 1 of 3 spaces, and J must come after it, and S can't go with it, I decide to split the diagram into 3 possible scenarios based on the possible positions of G. If G is in the Monday morning slot, what do we know to be true? Well, J can fall anywhere in the next 3 spots, so that's common sense, so I don't bother noting it. But we also know that S must come sometime after Monday. In the second diagram, we know that J can't come before G, so it must occur sometime on Tuesday, although we don't know if it's in the morning or the afternoon. And again, we know that S must come sometime after Monday. In the third diagram, we know that J must be inspected in the afternoon on Tuesday, because it must come after G and before Wednesday. By default, L must occur on Monday, along with 1 of SVZ. So now we have a basic setup. I'm sure the conditional rule will come into play sometime during some of the questions, so I'll just deal with that as needed. Question 13 is a standard game question 1 type, asking us which of the following could be the order in which the buildings are inspected. So you can just go down the list of rules and see which answer choices violate them. The first rule, that 2 of SVZ must be inspected on Wednesday, is violated by answer choice B. The second rule, G before J, is violated by answer choice C. The third rule, G not with S, is violated by answer choice A. And the fourth rule, that if Z occurs on Monday, L must also occur on Monday, is violated by answer choice E, leaving D as the correct answer. As a tip, I find it helpful in problems like this to mark the day splits in my diagrams and also in my answer choices, so it's easier to keep track of which variables fall on the same day when you're trying to evaluate answer choices. Here's an example of what that looks like. Question 14 asks, which of the following could be the buildings inspected in the mornings in order from Monday to Wednesday? Because this is a global must-be-true question, this should refer back to our rules and master diagrams. Our conditional is certainly going to come into play here, so the first thing I do is go through and look to eliminate any answer choice that lists Z but not L. This rules out answer choice A. Keeping in mind the other rules, I look to eliminate any answer choice that lists a hotel on Wednesday morning, but I see that there are none. Because of rule number 2, we know that J can't ever come first on Monday morning, so I look for an answer choice with J in the first spot, and I'm able to eliminate answer choice B. There's one more inference we can make from our diagrams relating to answer choices D and E, although it's a little difficult to spot at first. D and E both list S as the first Monday and then J and L as the second Mondays respectively. So what's wrong with this? Well, based on our three diagrams, we can see that the only way S can be inspected on a Monday is if G is inspected on Tuesday morning. So we can rule both of these out as well. This leaves only answer choice C, LJV. We can test this quickly by plugging them into our second diagram. With L in the first space, J in the third space, and V in the fifth space, G must go second, S fourth, and Z sixth. This doesn't violate any rules, so C is the correct answer. Question 15 asks, which of the following is a pair of buildings which, if inspected on the same day, must be inspected on Monday? Like the last question, this is a global must be true question, so it should refer back to our rules and master diagrams. I take a look at my master diagrams. Unfortunately, I can't make any inferences just by looking at them, so I go ahead and start looking at the answer choices. Answer choice A lists G and J. Based on my third diagram, I can see that G and J can go together on Tuesday, so I cross this one out. Answer choice B lists G and V. Based on our three diagrams, we know that if G is not inspected on a Monday, it must be inspected with J on Tuesday. So this means that G could not be inspected with V on any day except Monday, making B the correct answer. If you have time, you can rule out the other answer choices. J and L could be grouped together on Tuesday in scenario 1 and 2, so C is out. L and S could be grouped together on Tuesday in scenario 1, so D is out. And L and V could be grouped together on Tuesday in scenario 1, so E is out. B is the only answer choice remaining. The next three questions finally introduce some conditional statements. These are going to allow us to make additional inferences based on the new rules introduced. So question 16 puts G on Tuesday and asks which of the following could be the buildings inspected in the afternoons Monday through Wednesday. If G is on Tuesday, we know that we're working with a third diagram and J must be the second afternoon. We can immediately eliminate any answer choice that does not list J second. This rules out both C and D. We haven't used our conditional rule regarding Z and L yet, so we also want to look out for that now. Based on our contrapositive of Rule 4, we know that if L is listed, Z must also be listed. So answer choices A and E include L but not Z, so we can eliminate both of these. The only remaining answer choice is B. Let's check it. B lists L, J, Z. J is already in our diagram, so we just plug in L and Z. This leaves V and S to be divided among Monday morning and Wednesday morning. It turns out it doesn't matter which positions they go in, since all of our rules have been applied. This means they can't violate any. So we can be confident that this scenario will work. B is the correct answer. Question 17 forces S into the Monday morning slot and asks what must be true. Since our first two diagrams require S to fall on Tuesday or Wednesday, we know that we must be working with our third diagram again. In this scenario, we know that L must also occur on Monday, so L takes the Monday afternoon slot. And based on Rule 4's contrapositive, we know that if L falls in an afternoon, so does Z. This means that Z must be inspected on Wednesday afternoon and V on Wednesday morning. That was easy. We now know all our variable positions, so we can quickly scan the answer choices for one that matches up. Answer choice D states that V must be inspected on Wednesday morning, so this is the correct answer. The other answer choices can be ruled out very quickly by the same method, since none of them match up with our diagram. The last question puts G on Monday morning and Z on Wednesday morning, and then asks what must be true. With G on Monday morning, we know we're working with our first diagram. I plug in the Z and check for any other inferences. Rule 4 tells us that if Z is inspected in the morning, L must also be inspected in the morning, which means L must be first on Tuesday. We can't really tell anything else about the remaining positions for sure, except that S must come after L and that J must come before Z. So we can skim the answer choices to look for something that looks like this. Answer choice D states that L must be inspected before S. Do we know this to be true? Yes, we just said so. So D is the correct answer choice. So honestly, this wasn't my favorite logic game, and I would have hate to see it on test day. It probably wouldn't come that easily. But by using this method, I was able to complete it in under 8 minutes. Try it for yourself and let me know what you think.